Life is a Marathon, session 87. Hey, thank you so much for taking time to be with me today. I genuinely appreciate this. Your time is valuable to me. I trust that what you spend your time doing is valuable to you too. Thank you for being here with me today. I've got a very important message for you. It's a subject that I've talked about previously in other shows, but I want to combine a couple subjects and sort of merge them together into a single consolidated message. And so I want to start off today by asking you a question. Okay? How are you? And I really mean that. I want to know, how are you? Are you tired? Are you worn down? Are you feeling stressed out? Are you just living from one day to the next, hoping that some tragedy doesn't happen, hoping that you can just get through to the end of the day until you can, go to bed? Do you live each of your days where the highlight of your day is going to bed, and the thing that you dread when you go to bed is the fact that you've got to wake up in the morning and go through the day all over again? If that is you, I want you to know something. I have been there. I have spent many, many years of my life in that place. And it's no fun. I get that. So when you string, one just day of going through the motions, when you string a couple of those days together, it becomes a week. When you string a couple of those weeks together, it becomes months. And I've been in that place for years of my life. And today's message is a message that I want you to hear, because I want you to know that if that is you, there's hope. You don't have to live that way. You can make a difference. Okay. Now, if that's not you, if you are feeling awesome and you love life, then there's something here for you this morning too. Because one of our jobs in life, I firmly believe, is to lift other people up. So I want you, if you are not in that situation that I've just described, then I want you to listen with attentive ears, with ears that can pick something up that you can use in your tool bag, to help somebody, because you more than likely know somebody who is really going through a difficult period of their life, and you can help them move on. So here's what I want for you. I want you to live victoriously. I want you to have a victorious life, not a defeated victim life. I want you to win. I want you to succeed. I want you to be everything that you want to be. I want you to have dreams and visions for your life, and dream those dreams, have those visions with the mindset that you can actually attain them. So many of us, we have these vague wants, these desires of, wanting our lives to be fun, wanting to um, be something special, but deep in our hearts, we don't know how to do it, or we don't really think that it's possible. And it is possible. And so you're asking, maybe, if you are in that first situation that I described, you're asking, well, how can I possibly be victorious when I am exhausted? When I am stressed, I have been beaten down by life. How can I do it? And well, the answer is that, let's try it this way. There's a great quote it's from the book The Art of War, and it's an ancient book by Sun-tzu. If you want to read it, it's great reading. It's a little, yeah, I don't know. It's mostly just statement after statement after statement. So it's not really a book that you can, that you sit down and there's this huge plot in it. But it is a wonderful book because it's all about mindset. And the quote that I want to pull from is the mindset that I want to help you, to coach you to develop in your life. And it says this: victorious warriors win first and then go to war. Defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Did you hear the difference there? The victorious warrior wins first and then goes to war, while the defeated warrior goes to war and then tries to figure out how to win. And that was my life. I had gone to war. I was in the battles of life. I was in the wars, in the trenches, and just reacting to my life. When I'm on other people's podcasts or when I'm standing on stage and talking about my life, I sort of describe it as, I was this 100-pound weakling in a boxing ring with this, world champion heavyweight fighter. And, while I wasn't getting killed, I was getting pummeled, and I was all just defensive. And, you've got your arms up and you're blocking and you're hoping that you don't get knocked out, but you're getting beat down to the mat day after day. And all you're hoping for is the bell to ring. And so that you can crawl to your corner and get a glass of a cup of water. And, I have visions of the scenes from Rocky in my mind, where he's losing to Apollo Creed and he's just getting beat. And he crawls to the corner. And, so what I want to be is I want to be your corner man. I want to be the guy who tells you that you can get up. But what you've got to do is you've got to start having a plan. You've got to stop living so reactively and start to have a strategy for your life. So, you may be occasionally throwing out a punch, but it's more reactive than it is with a real plan. And the way that you really do that is to have vision. What do you see for your life? What do you want for your life? So the real center around this quote of victorious warriors win first and then go to war is there's a strategy there. Again, I've mentioned in the last couple shows that the secret is really playing the end game. Visualizing the life that you want to live a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, at the end of your life. So put yourself in the future and think about the past. And when you're out there in the future, think about the life that you want to have lived when you're at the end of your life. What kind of impact do you want to have made in the world? What did you want your career to look like? What did you want your family to be? What did the impact of your being on this planet have on other people in the planet? Because that's really what it's all about, is not living for ourselves, is what kind of contribution can we make to the world. So I want you to have vision. And I understand, I really do understand that when you're beaten down and you're just going through the motions and you're just hoping that this day will end, you develop a certain kind of myopia. And I love the word myopia. Myopia is the technical phrase for nearsightedness. You see, I wear glasses, okay? And I don't have myopia. For me, myopia is when you see things clearly that are close to you, but everything off in the distance is blurry. I have just the opposite. I have to wear glasses to read because things up close are blurry to me, but things off in the distance. So when I'm running, when I'm driving, I don't need to wear my glasses because the vision for long range is good. It's the things that are up close that are hard for me to see. But the myopia is, I think, a great metaphor for just living for today. Things right now. You may have a clear vision for what this day looks like, what you need to get done today. You got to get the kids to school. You got to get lunches packed. Whatever it is, you may have a project due for your boss that you've just got to get done. And that's how you live day to day, with this clear vision of what's going on today. But you don't really have a long range plan. Everything out in the future looks blurry, looks It's all fuzzy. It's vague wishes, vague desires. And again, that's how I lived most of my life. So I love the word. I was an English major in college, and one of the things I absolutely loved about my studies was studying word origins, which is actually called etymology, the study of where these words actually came from. And the Greek word that doctors use for myopia, or the word myopia for our eyesight, comes actually from a Greek word which means like a mole. And so if you've ever seen these little fuzzy moles, they have their eyes are all clouded over. And so myopia actually in the Greek was a phrase that meant living like a mole, where you don't have a long range vision for the future. And so that's what we need to get rid of. Um, I talked about in my last show that success in life really comes from developing winning habits. It's I use the phrase that people do not determine their futures; they determine their habits, and their habits determine their futures. And while that's true, that quote is from F. Matthias Alexander. If you want to look it up, um, while that quote is true, we develop our habits based on our belief systems. And it's our belief systems that really dictate how far we think out into the future. And I'm not really talking about a religious belief system at this point. I'm talking about, what do you believe about your life in general? What is your worldview? Do you have an optimistic outlook on life? Or are you generally pessimistic? Do you expect things to go wrong? Or do you expect things to go right? I lived most of my adult life as a pessimist. I lived most of my adult life expecting people to disappoint me. And I often got exactly what I expected. And when I shifted my perspective, when I shifted my worldview to being an optimist and thinking that everybody on the planet is awesome until they prove me otherwise, then my life started to turn around, and I started to get more of the things that I wanted in life. So that's what I want for you. And so my lack of consistent success in life. I had successes, but it was scattered. It was sporadic. I can't say that now that I'm 51 years old, I have had success after success after success, or I have been consistently successful in any area of my life. And the main reason for that is that I did not put into place the habits that are necessary to create consistent success in any area of my life. And the reason that I didn't put the habits in place is because of ultimately what I'm talking about. I did not have a clear vision for what I wanted my life to be. And so I really was just sort of wandering around and thinking, oh, well, this feels good right now, so I'm going to try to do more of this right now. And while it may have felt good in the short run, it ultimately was not in my best interest for the long run. And so that's what I needed to develop. That's what Life is a Marathon is all about. I needed to break free of my myopia and start to develop a long range vision rather than just a short range. What can I get out of today? What can I do to make myself feel good right now? When I broke through that mentality, that's when my life started to change. And so what I needed to do was really start to imagine what I want my life to be. And, I hadn't really used my imagination since I was a child. Most adults, we stop imagining, we stop dreaming, we stop pretending. Because somewhere along the lines, when we were no longer children, probably an adult said, you need to just grow up. You need to stop pretending. Well, here, let this 51-year-old man tell you, it's time to start dreaming again. It's time to start imagining. It's time to start pretending what you want to be. So, if you're a guy, put on the Superman cape or the cowboy costume, whatever it is that you want to be at the end of your life. Let's start pretending to be that now, because it's through the pretending to be the things that we want to be that we actually start to develop the habits to become those things. So when you wake up every day thinking, all right, I'm going to be a superhero today, and I am going to, wherever possible, I am going to do good. I am going to lift people up. I'm going to help someone across the street. If there's somebody that I see they're in danger, I'm going to tell them that, hey, you're in danger. And wherever it's within my ability to do that, I'm going to try to push them out of the way of the bus that's coming to run them over. And so if you wake up every day with that intention, or whatever it is, if you're a girl and you want to be a ballerina or a princess, or whatever it is, maybe it's just being an awesome mom. Maybe it's being an amazing corporate executive, a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever your desire is for your life. And so I'm not telling you that any one of these is better, but whatever your dream is for your life is worth pursuing. I saw a quote recently that said, if you come to a fork in the road and one of the choices is what you should do, and one of the choices is what you want to do with a long range vision, always choose the want to rather than the should. Because ultimately, I've discovered that most of what I want to do in my life, if it's according to my purpose, and I'll talk about that in just a second, if it's according to what I see as my purpose in life and I want to do it, then that ultimately is what I should do. But instead of living life doing what other people think I should do, that just leads to frustration. It does not lead to this idea of victorious living. I want you to live your life, not the life your parents told you should live, not the white life that your spouse or your best friends think that you should be. Be who you want to be. And that ultimately is going to be your greatest gift to the world. When you are when you are 100% who you were created to be, then you are, by nature, you are making a tremendous contribution to the world. Do you see that? Okay, so I love athletes. In fact, I love anybody who has risen to the absolute top of whatever field it is, whether it's athletes or actors or even corporate executives, dancers, musicians. If you interview or listen to interviews or you read the biographies of people who have done amazing things, they all have one thing in common. They visualized it. They saw themselves doing it. They dreamed about it night after night after night. They saw themselves on stage acting on Broadway. They saw themselves jumping over the high jump bar. They saw themselves doing a perfect 10 floor exercise in gymnastics. They saw themselves being the fastest miler to ever exist. They saw themselves in this high-level executive position, and they held on to that vision, and they developed the habits necessary in life to achieve that vision. They never let go of it. But the most important thing that they did was they saw themselves already doing it. That's what I want for you. So I want you to take some time out of your life. I want you to think about what it is you want in your life. And so I do something called a life plan. And while this is episode 87 of the Life is a Marathon podcast, if you get a chance, go back and start at episode 50. And I did 6 episodes, 6. So they're not all in a row, but they all start at episode number 50. You can get to it at lifeisamarathon.com/session 50, session 50. And that's where my life plan starts. And it's 6 steps. And the most important steps are the first 2 steps. Step one of life plan is I want you to start dreaming again. I want you to imagine that you were walking on a beach somewhere and you found this lamp and you rubbed it and Aladdin came out. So this genie pops out of the lamp and says, I am going to give you everything that you want in life. Not just 3 wishes, none of that hocus pocus. I'm going to give you everything that you want in life. And now here's the deal. It's not going to be wave a magic wand and it just instantly appears and you don't have to do anything. But I want you to start dreaming and I want you to start telling me, the genie is talking, tell me what you want. And in the next 5 years, it will materialize. You will have to go on the interviews. You will have to train for the marathon. You will have to do the gymnastics exercises. You will have to establish the relationships. But everything that you do in the pursuit of what it is you've told me that you want, I am going to assure that all of your meetings are fruitful, that your exercise develops the muscles and the skills necessary so that at the end of 5 years, you will have what it is that you want. And so in step one of life plan, that's what I want you to do. I want you to go to a quiet place and start thinking about if you could have everything that you want, what would you want? Okay? What would you dream about? And then what you do in that process is you still imagine yourself 5 years out in the future and you have everything. And I'm not just talking about a job. I'm not talking about just finances. It includes all of that. What do you want your career if that's part of your vision for your life? If it's about family, if it's about relationships, if it's about friendships, if it's about where you live and what you're doing and what kind of life you're doing, I want you to stay 5 years out in the future and I want you to write a letter to somebody that you have not spoken to in the last 5 years. So this person is interested in your life and wants to know what you're up to, but doesn't know all of the amazing, miraculous things that have happened to you in your life in the last 5 years. So part of writing all of those things down is you imagine that you've got a best friend that you haven't seen. And so you write down, hey, Sally, hey, John, it's been 5 years since we've had any kind of communication. Let me tell you about the things that have happened in the last 5 years. And that's your vision for the future, okay? And then step two of life plan is the same thing, but it puts you much farther out into the future where you imagine yourself well advanced in years at an old age. It doesn't matter to me what age that is, but you've lived a long life. You still are of sound mind, but for whatever reason, you know that you only have a short number of days left on this planet. And what you've done is you've gathered everyone around you. So you've got, if a spouse is part of that vision for your life, then your spouse is there, your children are there, your grandchildren are there, again, if that's part of it, people that you have worked with, neighbors, friends, colleagues, the old lady at the grocery store who you were kind to every day. And what these people are doing is you're silent at this point, and these people have gathered around you. You're sitting in this nice, comfortable chair, and they are telling you stories about you and the impact that you've made on their lives. They're telling you how their lives were enhanced, their lives were made better because of you being who you were throughout your life. They're telling you how much you loved them. They're telling you funny stories, They're telling you about things that you did with them, a camping trip that just went so horribly wrong. All you could possibly do was laugh about it, and how you handled a certain situation. And some of these things that people are telling you are things that you're not necessarily even, so you're using your imagination, of course, but they're telling you things about you that you didn't even know that you did for them. One of the things that is so satisfying to me as a speaker, as a life coach, is to hear back from people who heard a message that I delivered or implemented something that I told them that would work. And then a year later, 2 years later, whenever, a month later, they write to me and say, Bruce, I don't know if you remember me, or Bruce, you don't know me because I'm listening to your podcast, but I want you to know that what you told me to do 6 months ago, I started doing, and it has completely changed my life. So that's what I want for you. I want you to, step 2 of life plan is, I call it the cloud of witnesses exercise, or listen to the voices of your past and write down. You're writing the script of a movie, and write down the things that you want people to say, the things you want people to feel about you when you're at the end of your life. This is how you're creating a vision. And when you write all of this down, guess what you've got for your life now? You've got a life plan. When you wake up every single morning now, if you've gone through those 2 exercises, you know what to do. You may have a job right now that has absolutely nothing to do with what you ultimately want to be doing for the rest of your life. That's okay. But if you know what you want to be doing for the rest of your life, you can do the job that you've got to do today with a vision for what and who you want to be in the future. And it gives you a completely new set of glasses. It removes that myopia. So instead of just living for today, where your vision for today is really clear, you now have a long range vision that's crystal clear of what you want your life to be 5 years from now, 50 years from now, however old you are. I dream of being 100 years old. I would love to live to be 100 years old, and that's my vision. And so when I did my step 2, I am 100 years old, and I have lived a good and full and meaningful, satisfying life. Okay? And so I want you to have that for your life. I also, in the process of wanting you to do this, think about what your purpose is. Now, sometimes we don't always know, and you can spend a lot of energy trying to figure out what your purpose is. So maybe your purpose is, at the end of your life, what kind of impact did you want to make on the planet? Your purpose may not be to cure cancer in your lifetime, but that may be. Okay, guys like Nelson Mandela, that was their vision for the future, was to eradicate apartheid from South Africa. That was his purpose. And if you asked him, what is your purpose in life? That was it. And so everything he did was done with that purpose. And so for me, I have a personal purpose and mission statement, and they're really very easy. My purpose statement is very, very short. My purpose is to love, serve, and add value to the lives of others. Now, that may sound very generic, but that is my purpose. Now, I can do that in lots and lots of different ways. But my overall purpose, I believe that I was created and put on this planet to love people, to serve them, not in a subservient way, but to serve, to help you get what you want in life. And by doing so, adding value to the lives of other people. Okay, now my mission statement is a little bit longer, and while it's still vague in some ways, it's more clear about how I carry out my purpose. So my mission statement says, to using the love, wisdom, abilities, and life experiences God has given me, I reach, teach, and empower people to love themselves and others, to overcome challenges, think and act intentionally, set and reach goals, experience true peace and joy, and live passionately as the fullest expression of who they were created to be. So when I'm doing those things, when I'm living according to my purpose, and when I'm living according to my vision or my mission statement, then that's a good day. That's a good day. So, and I can use that The other thing that I like, when you've got a plan for your life, when you've got a purpose statement, when you've got a vision statement, now know how to live and act intentionally. And that was my problem in life. I was living, I was acting, but it was more reacting than anything. I had no real specific intention. And so now what I try to do is I try to live intentionally. And now that I have a vision for my life, I now know how to show up. I know what kind of energy I need to turn on every morning when I wake up. I read these statements to myself every single morning as part of my morning routine. I do. Um, and so I know that when I'm making breakfast for my boys, I'm loving, serving, and adding value to the lives of others. When I'm about to get in front of a microphone and record a podcast, I do it with the intention of fulfilling my purpose and my vision statement. When I'm about to go out with friends, okay? So, while I have fun and I live spontaneously, I still want to do those things according to my purpose. And I can feel inside, I can feel it in my chest when I have just said something or I have behaved in a way that is outside of my purpose. So when I've tried to do something for purely selfish reasons, what's in it for me and how can I add value to me? I feel it. I don't feel good. I just feel this sort of negative energy um, around me. And it immediately alerts me to the fact, Bruce, you're not living according to your purpose. And so what I try to do is I try to show up. So even if it's, you hear me use the phrase, when I go to the grocery store, I want to interact with the grocery clerk in a way that I love, serve, and add value to that person's life in some way. So this is what I want for you, okay? You can live victoriously. Think like Sun-tzu, think like the victorious warrior. So have a plan, visualize your life, because victorious warriors win first. They see themselves winning, and then they go to war. And then it's just a matter of acting out everything that they had already visualized. Because your body, that's the thing I love about athletes. I love to watch the Olympics, and I love to watch divers on a diving board, or a pole vaulter, or really a guy doing the high jump, Sotomayor. I think I got that name right, but the current world record holder for the high jump, that record is like 15 years old. And it's fun to watch the video of that because he's standing there and his eyes are closed and he's moving, his body is twitching, and what he's doing is he is visualizing every single step, every single approach run step that he's going to take before he jumps. Then you can see him sort of arch his back and he's standing still, but he's visualizing himself, launching himself up into the air. You see, the thing is, your body will respond to the way your brain has visualized your body responding. So as you visualize your life, your body will start to take you in that direction. You will start to develop the habits necessary to create the kind of victory that you want in life. So I love that quote by Sun Tzu. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war. So see yourself as a winner. See yourself as victorious. From the second you wake up in the morning, I know you're tired. Okay? I know you're scared. But you can do this step by step. I didn't just flip a light switch and stop being scared. I didn't just flip a light switch and become the optimistic person. It was a process. But I was sick and tired of being the victim. I was sick and tired of being beaten down by life. And I knew that something had to change. And I knew that what had to change was me. I could not wait for the world to change. I could not wait for people to become what I wanted them to be. I had to change. I didn't have a finance problem. I didn't have a relationship problem. I didn't have a being overweight and out of shape problem. I had a thinking problem. I had a lack of vision problem. And when I changed that, then slowly but surely, my life changed. So start the process. That's really what it's all about. It's all about action and your endurance to go the distance, to go the marathon of life is going to be directly proportional to the clarity of your vision for who and what you want to be. So you can change the diapers. You can be up late nights doing projects for work. You can be going to the gym and getting in better shape. And the endurance, the drive for you to be successful at those things is going to be directly proportional to your vision for what you want to be on the other side of that. That's what I want for your life. That's what it's all about, okay? And that's why I love you. And that's why I do this, because I believe in you. If I can do it, you can too. Anybody can do this, okay? I'm not going to tell you that it's easy, but it's a lot easier than you think it is. It really is. That's the message for today. I want you to be victorious. I believe that you can. Win first and then go to war. I want to read one of them super short, but I want to read to you two reviews that I got on iTunes. Both of these are from the United States iTunes version. Somebody using the handle LC703 just wrote, "Awesome. His material is a life changer." Well, whoever you are, LC703, thank you so much. I want to be a life changer, and so I'm so happy that you have received the messages that I put out there into the universe and obviously came into your earbuds. It came into you with that intention. And it's you changing your life. It really is. It's not me changing it. I'm just telling you that you can do it. And I'm trying to be your coach, but you've got to do the work, and you're the one doing it. And this review from Le Ragdoll, it's all one word, L-E Ragdoll. And it's titled, "This Guy Helped Me Change My Life." And the review is awesome. It says, "Before finding Bruce Van Horn on RSS radio app, I was a total victim. I had addictions and a serious negative perspective on life in general. I felt stuck, and I truly believed there was no way my life could ever change. I had no self-esteem, and I saw no way out of the emotional bankruptcy rut I was in." That is so my story, Le Ragdoll. So I love the way where this is going. The review continues. "I began searching for some way to dig my way out. I am so thankful I found this podcast. I was about ready to give up on life. In hindsight, I can't believe I ever thought that way. Bruce has helped me see how wonderful life can be and helped me empower myself to take action to change what I can to get to where I'd like to be. He's helped me with my self-esteem, control my impulsive nature, my relationships, and best of all, he helped me learn how to fully be able to cope or just be rid of negativity in my life and mind. Words can't express my gratitude to this wonderful man. I'm spreading the word." Well, Le Ragdoll, I don't know who you are, or maybe I do and I just don't recognize this pseudonym that you're using, but thank you. Thank you. That is an extremely articulate, well thought out, powerful 5-star review on iTunes, and I love what you are doing in your life. Again, I couldn't have scripted that better, but you are doing in your life exactly what I did in my life. And so for those of you listening to the sound of my voice, that's what you can do in your life. So if in any way this show has impacted you to make changes, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message through the contact form at brucevanhorn.com, or leave a message on iTunes, wherever you are in the country, whatever your international version of iTunes is. I would love to hear stories like this and share it with the rest of the world, because I know, Le Ragdoll, that you sharing your story is going to help inspire somebody else, maybe even more so than anything that I've said on this podcast, because someone might be thinking, oh, well, Bruce, did it. He's some kind of special person. But because you shared your story, then someone might be thinking, wow, if that person can do it, then maybe I can do it too. So thank you for that. Thank you for all that you do to support me, the motivation, the encouragement that you give back to me. Um, I would love for you to interact with me in any way that you want to. So you can follow me on Twitter at BruceVH, follow me on Facebook at BruceVH. Um, I love you. You can do this. You can be victorious. But you need to have a long range vision for your future. You need to put on glasses that help you break free of your myopia. Stop thinking about just today and have a vision for your future, because your endurance to go the distance is going to be directly proportional to the clarity of your vision. And life is, after all, a marathon. So let's train for it.